Hey guys, it's Katie with scrappinkaty.ctmh.com, and I am bringing you a layout made with the Floral Frame key from the Everyday Moments Cricut Collection, exclusively from Close to My Heart. So for this layout, I've already pre-cut all the pieces off camera. I did want to show you that when you're working with large intricate cuts, it's easier to flip the mat over and pull from the back. And then I'm just going to take all these off and save those for another project. So here's a look at the frame and the flowers. I've already sorted them in color and size. Each flower comes with 4 different sizes and various cuts per flower. So for the border of my layout, I want to cut a frame so I don't waste all this pretty paper from the current mix-ins. And then I'm going to adhere this border down onto a piece of sapphire cardstock. Now these mix-ins I used for the entire layout. They are only good until April 30th and then will be on my website in the online only section. And then come May 1st, we get a new packet of mix-ins. So I'm going to lay that down, see how it looks. I do not like all of that sapphire color showing through the center. So I did end up adding another sheet of the mix-in pattern paper. This one is a linen striped paper. You really can't tell right here, but you will be able to tell in the still shots at the end of this video. So to adhere this intricate floral frame down, I am using my liquid glass with the fine tip applicator on, just so I can get in all of those little bitty pieces and make sure it is adhered down. If you do not have a fine tip applicator, you might want to consider just using your liquid adhesive very sparingly. So I'm just going to apply some tape adhesive to the back of this piece and adhere it down onto my layout base, and then we can start adding the flowers. So for the flowers, like I said, there are 4 different sizes, and then I used various colors from the mix-in as well as added some gold cardstock, and I am just using Monotombo adhesive to adhere those down. Now I did only about 2 flowers at a time, just so my adhesive would not dry. I can tell you that this adhesive, for lack of a better word, kind of added some stiffness to the layout, and depending on if you like that or not, you may want to use a different, maybe more forgivable adhesive, but for the most part I did not mind, and I also liked that it dried quickly but also gave me some wiggle room to play with those flowers. So I've got all the large flowers adhered down. I'm just going to sponge the edges of that sapphire cardstock, and then I'm going to play with this heart. So I do like the heart with the border of the French vanilla, but I wanted some color to the words. So I'm going to play here and see what I like best. I end up liking the French vanilla border, so then I'm going to just kind of cut some cardstock to see what it looks like with just the words, that sapphire cardstock color. So I have already adhered down the 5x7 photo mat, and then the cut also comes with this very intricate photo frame, and I love it. I considered not cutting it, but it just adds that extra something, especially when it's cut with this gold paper. So for this particular layout, I did add liquid adhesive to the entire frame and then decide to put it down. On another layout that I did using the same key, I ended up showing you another method, so make sure you check that out. So all I did on this heart to get that sapphire just where the words were was I went back into my design space and hid the contour of this heart and then cut it again. So now I have both the words in the sapphire and the French vanilla border. So for the larger flowers that will go down by that heart, I am just gluing the 2 flowers of almost the same color together. They are the same flower and the same size. So I'm just using a liquid adhesive and then making sure the petals are kind of offset. And now I'm kind of roughing up that top layer of petals. Okay, so I've got those flowers kind of roughed up, and then those are going to go down in that bottom right corner. I am going to go ahead and adhere this down. And then I'm going to start filling in with those smaller flowers. So I am not going by any, like usually you guys know that I have the project up on my tablet and I kind of go by what the colors shown. But for these smaller flowers, there's so many of the same size flower cut in different patterns that I'm just trying to look at the larger flowers that have already been adhered down, and I'm just trying to fill in with different colors, making sure I kind of have colors in every corner and I don't have big clusters of the same color. I do decide on some of these flowers to add 3D foam adhesive just to kind of add some dimension, and I try to do that in each one of the corners as well as for each color of flower. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to add just a couple of more flowers here, and then I'm going to pull out my gold embellishing thread. Now what I really wanted to do was just kind of have a cluster of thread like I usually do, and I wanted it in that top right corner, but that ends up just not going well. So the key has these buttons that are cut, and they're supposed to be the center of those larger flowers down by the heart. But because there were no other button cuts anywhere else on the layout, I just didn't feel that they went well. So I am going to cover them with bunches of that gold embellishing thread. So I am just applying glue dots to those buttons and then just kind of roughing up and grouping that gold embellishing thread, making loops here and there, and then I'm going to really secure it down with liquid glass. You'll be able to see it really well in a still shot here in just a little bit. So I'm just going to repeat that process for that other button. Again, just using glue dots to make sure that that grabs that gold embellishing thread. Now I have already put little bunches of that thread behind the heart on the top and then that bottom left corner. And then I am just applying these flowers with 3D foam adhesive. And then now I'm going to apply these little clusters of the gold embellishing thread using liquid glass and my paper piercer. So I'm just taking those off of the little carrier sheet and making sure that they just get secured down to the center of those flowers. There were a couple that were still wet with the liquid glass, so I kind of had a hard time getting them off without them sticking to my finger. But there is the layout. And again, pretty much aside from changing a color here and there, it is as intended. Don't forget to check back and see my reimagined layout later on today. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Please subscribe and sign up for notifications so you'll be notified the next time I post a crafty video. And don't forget to check out the other videos using this floral frame key from the Everyday Moments Cricut Collection.